Wonder Kid.
What
Hello.
up, Alex?
How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Good. Feeling great.
All right.
Hey,
let
can I
me-
call you Justin 2.0 for the remaining of the episode?
For sure. For sure. I'm proud to have that title.
It was Dave's
Thank
best
you.
prediction
Thank
of the
you.
season.
Yeah. I was like, I think that was the first prediction, one of your first ones. You were like, you said something about me winning or me getting far. And I was like, all right, that's a good prediction. And then the other ones were a little bit not as good, but
I can't hear you, Days, for some reason.
I can't hear him either.
oh, he's talking. Oh.
Technical issues.
Yeah, I remember saying winners on Team Dunn, and then I'm Team Alex, and here we are.
There you
Proven
go.
Right.
You had substantial support from this
Panel.
this panel of people. Actually, I think pretty much everyone on the panel was a pretty big Alex fan.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
that's why I
challenge
was
this Aspen. I'm gonna challenge this Aspen 2.0 though. I think you played more similar to this guy.
Hey,
didn't have a bitter
I think
jury.
so too. I think so too.
I think you played more similar to this guy. You just didn't have a bitter jury.
The jury was not bitter, man. Aspen played the better game. All right, let it go.
That's right. Let it go. Let
The
it
winner
go.
deserves
The jury
to
was
win.
pretty bitter for me too, honestly. At least someone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was
Say
close.
something,
Yeah.
Days. Still can't hear you.
What happened?
For some reason, you're not connecting to audio. You're pulling Anisha from the reunion.
I've been watching The Stand though, so I've been trying to learn how to read lips like the dude Nick. He just said fuck.
I love
Really?
that book.
I read his lips and Days definitely said fuck. We could have captioned that.
Still can't hear you.
You can hear.
Damn it, Days. Act like you know how to do a podcast. Bro.
Yeah, I've been watching you all.
we take 2.5 weeks off and look at Days.
Already a new story there.
Man. Yeah, honestly, Alex, shouts out to you
Thank
for
you.
handling your jury. Fuck Dot, because he is bitter. He just sad and bitter. So yeah.
That was painful with the way Dot was reacting to it. It was crazy. I felt so bad afterwards. I actually was like, after that taping of the last episode, I was literally like talking to my family, and they were like, they acted like I was nuts because I was just like, what did I do to them? Like, what was wrong with me? Like, did I really mess them up that bad? And I was like, I don't think I did, but is it working?
Yeah.
Oh no, it's
I don't
not.
know, Days.
That's really unfortunate.
Just try that.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
There we
Hey,
go. Now we
there
can
we
hear
go.
you.
Is there
Yay.
any echo?
No,
No.
not that I can tell.
All right, I'm going to try and formally start this. We have the man of the hour, Alex, here. Some know him as the Wonder Kid. Some might know him as Aspen 2.0. Some might know him as the winner of season 2 of Online Survival. Alex, how's your new year going so far? It's been crazy, but how's it going?
My new year has been great, especially as a winner. It's been nice.
So I'm going to start with talking about Team Dunn for a second. That's how I want
Alright.
to start this interview and get your perspective on that team because it was a bit of a wild ride.
Yeah.
Why was the team so dysfunctional? And how did you all three of you make it so far with all that dysfunction?
Well, the crazy thing is, I think that like in the beginning, when we kept losing, everyone in Team Dunn was just sort of like, we had sort of this narrative going already, as if we had to prove ourselves. We can't just get eliminated right off the bat. And so I feel like the people who really wanted to fight, the ones who stayed in Team Dunn who didn't get voted off, we all worked really relentlessly, and we had experience on the jury, not on the jury, on Tribal. And so like, I think that's why we got to the end so quickly, because we didn't have such a huge family that like was with us the entire time. We always had to vote someone off. And so I also think that contributes to the whole dysfunctional aspect of it, because all we did was vote people off and talk to each other about who is going home. And so we were already like doing that before anyone else did. So it became dysfunctional quickly, but not until big players were voted off. And that's like the best part, because after that, it was almost a smooth sailing for a lot of us. So yeah.
You joined the team late, and at the beginning, you were like kind of seeing Dot in a certain way. Why was that?
Well, it's because like I joined a day late, and everyone already kind of knew each other, right? So I was trying to introduce myself and be more acquainted with this group, but it seemed like it was already like they already knew each other, and Dot just like led that. Like in my eyes, I was like, Dot already has this down. So I either have to really like kiss up with Dot before I'm just like this outsider, or I have to plant seeds of doubt on Dot. And I chose to not like sort of like bring Dot up as someone who was a leader, because I just didn't know anyone else at all. Like I had no idea. So I chose to sort of play with him. But there was always that sense of like Dot is going to be someone to look out for, because I chose this route anyway. So it was crazy. I did not like entering this late. I keep doing that, I feel like, but
Well, we're having technical difficulties with Aspen and Days, but Fan Guy Mike, do you have any questions for Alex off the bat?
Sure, I got one. If so, as people know of the format of Survivor, after the votes to win are cast, the people don't know if they won or not until the vote's read.
Yeah.
How confident were you in your chances of winning in that long waiting period?
great question. I was absolutely 100% sure that I wasn't winning, because of how, like, you were right. So, like, no one gets to talk really after the episode's aired. So I was left with a bitter Dot, and the entirety of that felt really off. And I didn't know Meg at all. So it's not like, I was sure of her vote. I thought Q was going to vote for Dee as well. So I was thinking, like, this final episode does not matter for me. They just all saw that I turn on them, and there's no way that I had any votes. So I was pretty sure D was winning it. Even up to the final stretch, I remember texting Nick about like, like, are you hinting at this or that? And like, obviously Nick's a brick wall, and like, there's no actual answer. But I really, really did not think I was gonna win it. So that was crazy when I found out that I won by one vote. It was insane.
I'll piggyback off that and say, how did you? I mean, did you envision Dee getting a clean sweep? Like, how did you kind of see the votes falling out?
Yeah. So basically, by the time, so before Q got sent home, in my head, I was like, there's no way D would win because D didn't do anything. Just like you guys were saying, like, I didn't think D did anything in public view. So I didn't think anyone actually thought she would win it. But as Dot started talking, and as Meg was saying, it's between me and Dee, I was like, okay, they're not respecting gameplay, especially because like Elizabeth's not even being mentioned. And so I started getting a lot nervous. I kind of forgot your question, but I think it's just like, it was really scary because I was like, Dee, I didn't think would get any votes, but after the whole episode aired, was filmed, I was like, I think Dee might have a clean shot of getting all the votes, except for like potentially Rayleigh and Patty or something like that. But I didn't even know Patty was upset like that.
But did you
so
really
I just thought it too.
Did you really think she was going to get Q's vote after the infamous coin flip? Like, how did you feel about that coin flip in that moment? Like, what's
Okay,
going through your head? Like,
so Dee has done the coin flip before. At least I've been told, like, she's been doing it. So I didn't think Q would be like, okay, so I knew Q was someone who valued gameplay and strategy, but because she was so close with Dee, I didn't think that would sway her, even though like she was voted off because of the coin flip. In my head, I was like, I think Q is still a Dee vote. Because I didn't think she liked me and Elizabeth that much, but looking back on it, she had a whole thing with all three of us, like just on the low. So she did a great job masking that. But I was kind of thinking that Q's vote was going to Dee, and I was hoping for all the cleaners minus, no, not minus, all the cleaners votes plus like Patty or something to like secure me the win. I only needed 4, so I just wanted like the final outcome to be Dee and Elizabeth. And I think I said that back in like top 7 or 8, where I was like, the 3 I want is me, Dee and Elizabeth. I think that was the clearest way for me to win. But it wasn't, obviously.
Aspen, any questions, or do you want to talk about the coin flip since you didn't get to talk about the finale, or none of us did really?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I want to commend you on how well you did and talking Dee into flipping a fucking coin. Who knew that Dee like, I don't know. I got a lot of respect for Dee, but that just like, I agree with Meg. It kind of sunk it for me, you know. It's like, damn, make a move. Like, get in the lane, like do something. This is your last chance, man. Dave's been saying it for weeks. And yeah, she just flipped a fucking coin. And I'm like, are you serious? Yeah, but I mean, shout out to you for doing that, because if not, honestly, sadly enough, I think Q would have won, you know, like, you know,
yeah.
I've been rooting for you. I thought Q would have won if it would have came down to it. So I mean, it turned out how it did, but it's bullshit. Am I right, Dave?
No, it is.
Yep. I still don't think you can.
What are you talking about? Elizabeth
Days.
really won fire making. Come on, guys. You guys
I think Q respects gameplay too much to appreciate the coin flip, honestly.
Right.
I think in a way that's like not a gameplay. It's the ultimate like politician kind of move, I guess, but you don't do that to your closest ally. So I think Q it wasn't necessarily bitter by her, but she was just like, that's a terrible gameplay. Like, just get out of here with that. So I definitely think you weren't in a bad spot. I was more concerned about you and Elizabeth splitting votes. And like you said, nobody even acknowledged Elizabeth. Why do you think that was, that people just kind of overlooked her?
Yeah. So, I mean, as someone who like watches Survivor as well, I've noticed how bad this double standards are. So like women versus men, if they did the same exact thing with this all, like me and Elizabeth played a very similar game, but it seems so different. I seem like the boss and she seemed like a bitch, or like a sneaky, like, you know, like calculated person. So what sucks is that I know that, and I kind of was like, okay, well then she has to come along with me to the end. I was already loyal to her, but it's just I kind of knew that if it was between me and her, I don't think it would have split in her favor, unfortunately. But I also want to call it out because I think that this double standard is messed up. She didn't do anything different than I did. I actually succeeded in overturning a big alliance and she didn't even get there. So it's like the fact that she was being painted as this liar and this terrible liar, and like and I'm like a strategic person. It's so messed up because she, I think, thinks more than I do, and actually thinks more rationally and calmly than I do. So I would have voted for her if it wasn't me sitting there, you know? So I didn't think there would be a split, but realistically, there should have been a split because we played very similar games. So
props for that answer, dude. That's stand-up shit.
Yeah. That's real. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said what you said about, you know, being a minority or a person in the LGBTQ community, you know, like winning this shit. Like that's deep for us, you know. So I appreciate that. I respect that a lot.
Thank you. That's my favorite, my best moment there, because I was like, I'm doing it. I'm representing something. Yeah.
Loved the confessional you gave about representation. It was really a great moment. You know, sometimes you get brilliant things out of shows like this. I think that was one of them for me.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And fuck what Dot says, dude. You cannot play Survivor with being truthful. You can't. You've watched Survivor. You know that you gotta tell a lie. Sometimes you gotta be sneaky, or you get to the end.
That's why I was so confused when he's just like just painting me as like a personality type, like as a bad person. And I'm like, what, where am I? Like, what game am I actually playing? Like, is this not Survivor or Survival? I was very confused when he brought that up. I really thought he was playing up to it, but it did seem like he was getting mad at the end. And I was like, we didn't talk for a good 3 months, I think, afterwards. Like, we finally did once the show was airing, but I was like, I don't think we wanted to get near each other at all for some reason.
Yeah, I didn't see Dot being like that. I mean, I don't think that I want to speak to what Elizabeth was saying too. Like, I don't think it's a personal thing. I don't think you guys are bad people. I think, honestly, Alex, if we met outside of this, bro, we would get it on. We would make some music.
Hell yeah.
Like,
Hell yeah.
too. So,
100%.
yeah, I think y'all are great people. You're not dishonest. You had to do what you had to do, and it got you to win. So,
Yeah.
hey.
I want to point out, and I said this before in the podcast, that even if you don't tell your main chick about your side chick and your side chick about the main chick, it doesn't mean you're not lying. You're still cheating and, being dishonest.
Exactly. And like, that's why me and Elizabeth did not trust, like, it's funny because in the three of us, Dot would say me and Elizabeth were the worst ones. But for me and Elizabeth, we're like, Dot in Team Dunn was the worst because he did not play with us. Like, he played with us and then he like always voted with the other side. So we were never okay and sure about his alliance. And that's probably why it happened the way it did. Cause like, I wasn't going to like straight on just like, I guess, lie to him and vote him out. I was willing to work with him to the end because I knew him the most out of everyone. But I kind of did see that it was getting to that point where it just wasn't going to be able to save it.
In defense of Dot, I don't think he'd ever seen Survivor before.
Yeah,
So
no, exactly.
Maybe he thought this was like a game of honesty and truths.
He did mention that later on. He said like he never watched it, like he didn't know how this was going to be played, and yeah, he thought this was very realistic people, I guess. And I mean, we are, but we're playing.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes, especially when it's your first experience with the Survivor community, it becomes very difficult to separate. People need to leave their like certain parts of their morals on the table.
Yeah.
Lying is wrong. That's just pretty agreed upon. But in the game, lying is a necessity. Pretty much.
Yep. Good tools.
So, Alex,
yeah.
In the games that I play, I try to be, I guess, brutally honest. Like, I have a hard time telling lies in these games.
Mm-hmm.
How do I get better at that? Like, give me some tips.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so there were a few times where I blatantly lied to people, but most of the time, if you want to be brutally honest, you can still be like that, but like, I would say talk less. Elizabeth said it in the episode, like one of the episodes where she just sits back and listens, and even Meg points that out. I do the same thing, except I also I respond with like, oh, okay, or yeah, like I won't be like quiet, but I'm not adding anything like substantial or like beefy material for them to actually know where I'm at. I just say things that are either like regurgitated from them or like it's a response from them, so I can maintain where my actual loyalties are or where my thoughts are. And there were moments where I had to like blatantly say the opposite thing of what I'm doing, but like I tried my best to avoid that because I mean, obviously, like, it's not fun to do that, and it's also just like it could bite you in the ass. So for me, I tend to avoid having long explanations or giving them my whole thought process. At least in that season.
When you actually do have to tell a lie, how do you do it convincingly? Do you like have to convince yourself that it's the truth?
Great point. A few times I did do that. It depends on like the other person too. Like, so like I'm an actor as well, so I've done things where I say something, obviously it's not truthful to me, but my character did it. So for me, for this season or for this show, I am playing Alex, but not me, Alex, like another Alex. I'm playing Survivor Alex. So that character will be doing this. And I convinced myself that I didn't convince myself the lie was true. I convinced that my character is a lying, deceiving person. And so it came more naturally. There was one moment where I completely lied to Jake, like 100%, and told him that I would give him a signal, whatever. For that instance, like he was kind of just like somehow trusting me already. Like I didn't feel that he was like on the fence, so I just did it. I just lied. I just didn't even like think twice about it. I felt like he was gonna catch on to the hook. So you have to like, I guess, like gauge at how much they would believe you as well. And that's also another thing too. But I was playing a character basically.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think a part of helping that lying was the fluidity of your gameplay, which I think is sometimes hard to pull off. But in this season, there was actually a few of you that were very fluid, you, Q, and Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe it helped that, the cleaners were such this big force. But do you want to talk about the fluidity of your gameplay or just in general?
Yeah, I think I came into the game knowing that I wanted to play fluid. I'm a fluid person in real life anyway, like not in the sense of like loyalties and friendships, but more just like, if I enter a space that feels very like masculine, then I present myself more masculine too, naturally. And then I do the same with like, different situations or whatnot. And so even in the game, I was like, you gotta get along with everybody. And also, if you are set with someone, you're basically a sinking ship. It's just when does someone catch you? When does someone sink you completely? So I didn't want to catch myself being with someone completely from the beginning to the end. And especially when I got split off with Ori into another team and then Ori got out, I knew for sure that I could not play any loyalties for real because I didn't have real connections that lasted longer than anyone else. Everyone else had longer connections. So I just knew that I had to play very fluid and I wanted to as well. And that's why I did like what I did with Carrie too. Like I knew that merge was coming and like Carrie wanted me and Q to be like this force together. And I was like, there's no way that we would survive further on. So I just wanted to get Carrie off like right away. But yeah.
I thought it was interesting in your post almost acceptance speech and a lot of times at the final tribal. One thing I really appreciated about your gameplay was you were kind of the villain, but you were pretty honest about it. Like you pretty much just owned all your lies in your gameplay.
Yeah.
And even in your post, like I said, acceptance first place speech shot session, you even talked about lies that you told that you didn't have to tell.
Yeah.
And you even kind of just referenced that because those are the kind of lies that will cost you votes.
100%.
And I think you did a pretty good job minus the Jake thing this season. Were there any other instances where you felt like you maybe told a lie that because everybody kind of tells everybody what they want to hear.
Yeah.
But were there any other instances other than Jake? Because I can't remember any that you did, and I think that's very good.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many lies, and the one that I did go further was the whole signal thing with Jake. I would say another one was with Patty, because I feel like I knew even at that point, even if I did tell Patty that I'm like the votes are going towards you and I might have to do it, like he wouldn't have done a campaign to get me out. Like I kind of knew that, but I did it. And I don't actually know why I lied to him, like without telling him anything, like any warning really. But I just think that at the time I was just so scared of like where this game was going. And the way Dot talked to me, the chat before, which was very like in the corner, like I was cornered with like voting Patty off or voting Elizabeth off because Patty was telling me to get Elizabeth, and I didn't want either of those. So I lied because I was scared, I think. And I think that I didn't have to lie in hindsight, but at the time I was just like, I need to get out of this, like without anyone thinking of anything about me. So I just lied again. But I think those two were the only ones that I truly think that I lied without needing to per se, but I still did it. And yeah.
At the time, I thought that was about to be your fatal move, was the way Patty was voted out. And it almost was, I think, if there wasn't Survivor fans on the jury.
Yeah. Well, and I thought everyone was Survivor fans. So the fact that I was only given information to vote out Elizabeth or Patty. And for me, I was like, I'm definitely not voting Elizabeth out. I don't even think there was enough votes for Elizabeth. So I just went with Patty, and I was like, if there are Survivor fans, then I just betrayed like a big alliance who sent me to exile the night before or whatever. And it was just like, it was just bad moves in general. And I don't think I could have made it out with like the best move. Like that might have been an okay move, but I don't see a good move coming out of that, to be honest.
To be fair though, you did try to convince Patty to go after Dot, and that didn't really work out.
Yeah.
Patty's line of thinking for whatever reason.
I don't know why either. I don't know. There was moments where I pitched Dee, I pitched Dot, and like those two were probably the most dangerous ones towards the end, towards me at least. And like no one really jumped on ship with that. And I realized that because it's probably the way I played, I was lying and people kind of wasn't like sure of me as a person of info. So it's like I kind of did that for myself. Like I gave information, yet I'm not trustworthy enough for them to like hook onto it. Or I don't have pull. I don't know, because I didn't have an alliance. So I never had like numbers to be like, let's do my plan instead. But I was giving out information because I was like, let's do this or let's do that. But no one really took any of it, which is fine with me.
You always kept a bigger target out there.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, how I would describe the genre of what you did down the stretch, which was beautifully done. Was you just always made sure there was a bigger target, even though your name was kind of being thrown around here and there. You just always made sure there was someone more.
For sure. Especially Q. That was my biggest one. I was like, I need Q still to be here.
I can't believe the two of you almost made the final. Like the two
yeah.
players that I thought were the biggest threats
Yeah.
to be left in the game until the very end. Like it's
because we kept having each other's back and we just kept voting off someone else unanimously together. Like that, I was very proud of it. I was like, because Q, I do believe, is a very honest person. And so like with me, I was like, I can trust her, even if she's this huge target. I can trust her until I need to stab her in the back, because that's how my gameplay already is. So I was like, Q is the perfect person to stick around with, and I'm glad that she did, because I think she did give up at one point, like in terms of like, I'm not making it to the end. But I was like, you still might. Like, I'm giving you, I want you to get close, to be honest. But yeah.
Any final questions for Alex?
yeah. Oh, go ahead, Aspen.
So I just wanted to ask, do you have a favorite Survivor player? And do you have a Survivor player whose game you feel like you kind of mimicked in your season?
Okay. Wow. Thinking about like all the past players, I think that I played most similar to either, oh my God, what's that guy's name with starts with an R? He was on that season where this one girl was like, oh, Rick Devens. So that's my number one favorite player, Rick Devens. He never won, but he did so much in that season. Like, he really should have won. He did so much, like not just finding idols, like he did a lot. And my favorite moment of Survivor ever is when this girl named Julia goes, "You're just a passenger, Rick." And it's like, it's this live tribal and everyone's like still like really confused of who to pick. And Rick was on the chopping block, but once she said you're just a passenger, that's when everything switched. And I was like, that's a great moment. I love live tribals. I would say I play most similar to Sandra, only because my motto is also like, if it's not me, like I'm down to do whatever. So I feel like I play most similar to Sandra. I don't know if anyone else does that as much as Sandra does. Like, she does such a great job of doing that without people like wanting her out. So I would say Sandra.
You two really are the same person. Like, y'all fangirl over Sandra.
She's the queen.
She is the queen. You gotta bow down to the queen.
I'm sure Nick has a whole role of B-side of me going, as long as it's not me. It's a popular strategy. It is.
It's great. It really is a great strategy, especially if you know how people are and like you get a good gauge of how people's personalities are. Like, you just why stick to one like road or one plan when you can just be like, as long as it's not me, because you don't have people to make you a target and stuff like that. So it's just a great tactic. Doesn't work all the time if you're known for that. Like, that's why Sandra hasn't won much after. But the first 2 times that she did, I mean, she did it. So
to be fair, the reason why she didn't win the last time is because she quit.
Oh yeah. I mean, she went the comeback. When she had come back from redemption or whatever. No, I don't think
she could have won.
No, honestly, Denise is my second favorite character, and she got her out. Denise played
I could go on a whole rant about that, but this isn't the time or the place. That's why that move was terrible for Denise. But anyway, any last questions?
Yeah. Question that I asked everybody else we interviewed is, this isn't your typical kind of game where you're actually stuck on an island. Like, you have a chance to kind of escape the drama or the intensity of the game. So I'm wondering, did any of that stress that was happening in the game leak into your everyday life?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm pretty sure the ones who made it to top 8 or so, like for sure had stress outside of this game. Like in the beginning, I was like, oh, this is fun. Like, you know, we're playing this game and I'm meeting new people. And once the merge hit, it's actually not even once the tribe switch for me was when I was like kicking in gears, like not sleeping, thinking about different. At one point, like I had like 7 scenarios that I could have went with, and like for one night, and I was like, I'm going nuts, like I'm actually going bonkers. But there's moments where I just lay in bed and I'm just like thinking instead of sleeping, and I didn't mind it because it was a summer for me. It was the pandemic. I had nothing else to do but this game, so it consumed my life. And it consumed a little bit afterwards too. And now it consumed again, but watching it. So
I do find it funny how after a week, everybody just starts to get tireder and tireder. You can tell that they're going through it.
that was
Dot-
great.
Dot-
Dot really
so
went through it.
I was going through it. And that's my fault because Todd just kept getting lies and lies. Yeah, he looked really bad when he got voted off that night. And I feel like if he was in better shape, like in terms of like mentally, I guess he would have played that idol probably, and I would have went home and it would have been a whole different game. So I didn't even know he had it. He did a really good job of hiding that he had anything. I've asked him twice, I think, in the game. So
I think he forgot to.
Yeah.
maybe he forgot to. Maybe. He has so much going for him in the beginning. I swear, like even like in the game and watching, I'm like, Dot had so much that he was offered and given, and I'm like, I had no talks, no secret talks, no secret plays, nothing. I was completely in the dark for that. So
All the advantages in the world can't beat bad plan. If you don't know how to play them, it's not going to be any good. So real quick, I asked this to everyone else I've had on the show pretty much. Favorite challenge? You won a fair bit. Favorite challenge?
Favorite challenge? I would say it's the video games for me because even though I was annoyed by most of them, I somehow did better than everyone else, like most people. So I was like, I would say those games because like they were fun for me when I won it. I think my least favorite challenge though would probably be the map game. Like I did fairly well with the finding what country is from what, but like I was stressing about that for real, and there's no like real way to like combat that. You just have to know it or do enough research for it. There was just no way around it, and I did spend a lot of time, but it's not always there for you to find. So that was annoying for me for sure.
Hey,
I'll
so
ask
I
my
got
token.
one.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll just ask you if you would ever do this again. Like, would you ever play a game like this again? I ask everybody that as well. Like, would you ever come?
For sure. Oh, for sure. I actually want to do the real game. I was just watching with my brother, Heroes vs. Villains again, because it's on Netflix, and I would love to do it for real. It's gonna be really weird, like actually playing it, but I would love to try it. But yeah, I would love to play another game, any game, to be honest. It's very fun here.
I would recommend applying for Big Brother. Just
Yeah.
gotta throw that in there.
Yeah. I don't know
Who
if I
wants
would
to go
do
on
well
that show?
on Big Brother. I don't like Big Brother. I just find it very like fratty almost. Like it's like a frat house.
Hard agree.
I just don't know what's appealing about it for me at least. I also like challenges too in terms of like being stranded on an island with no phones and no communication, and like I think that'll be such a weird reset for me, and it's something that no one in this world would ever go through, like being stranded on an island but you're safe technically, right? Sort of. You could die, but people got hurt, but for the most part you're being televised and you're having fun and you're trying to win $1 million. I just that appeals to me the most. I think I would play on that more.
Yeah, same. So that was my question. I just was gonna ask, were you interested in going on the Real Survivor, and how would you change up your strategy from this one that's online, where you ain't having to have real interactions versus like being there on the island?
Yeah, so I've already applied for this like past 2 seasons, and I know they're like on break and filming and stuff like that, but I'm definitely gonna keep auditioning. I think what I would play different though is like yes, I would lie. But I feel like the way I did it here was much more easier for me to do it like when I'm like preparing for it. You know how like in the island you don't have time to prepare necessarily. Like you can't go to a room and be like, okay, what am I gonna say to this? So for me, I don't think I can play that much lying in that sense. Like I would really have to get in there deep to like lie this much. But I would play still fluidly and not like adhering to like groups. But I also have to take note, like the newer seasons, like everyone knows what to do. Everyone knows how to be sneaky, and so I think the trust factor has to be strong. I still need to trust someone still. So in this game, I didn't really trust anybody, but in the real one, I might try to still have a trust to something, so it's not completely hopeless, and I'm not like lying to every single person. So, yeah, I would still play very similarly.
Nice.
Sure.
Well, look, if you happen to get on there with me, then I'll be the one you trust. Okay.
Well, yeah, we'll just have a silent, stare going, and then we'll just never talk until we need to. But I got you for sure. That'll be amazing.
Well, super quickly, I do want to play the one-word answer game. I'm going to bring up a person. You gave the first word that comes to mind. We'll go ahead and start with Hassan.
NPC, like NPC, like I don't know. It's not a real personality for me. So NPC.
Jake.
Love you, Hassan. Jake. Overrated.
That's a shot at Dave. Rayleigh.
Really? Headstrong. We'll go with that.
Meg.
The puppet king, puppet queen.
Nisha.
Oh, sweet.
Patty.
Oh man, wild, love him.
Dee.
I think sneaky, honestly, pretty sneaky.
Oh.
Q.
Just like amazing. Love Q.
Elizabeth.
Also amazing. Powerful. No one thinks she's powerful, but she is.
And your favorite dog.
Hero, because he thinks he's the hero of all situations.
Wow.
He's the hero in Heroes vs. Villains. He's like James, like just sort of like blaming everyone else and thinking he's the bomb. I don't know. I love Dot though, but in gameplay, I'm like, where are you going? What's going on?
Well, I gotta end it there. Thank you all for joining me.
Nice meeting you all. I've been waiting for
Nice
this,
meeting you.
honestly. I've been watching.
Congratulations. You did
Thank you so
well.
much.
Come back and play again.
For sure.
Alrighty, I gotta end it there. I'll see you all
See you guys later. Bye-bye.